Welcome to the Perspectives with Catherine Toon podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Perspectives with Catherine Toon on the Grace Awakening Network and other platforms. And I have someone very near and dear who came back. We're so happy about that. Welcome, Don Keathley. So good to see you.
Hey, so good to be here. I've looked forward to coming back, and I sure enjoyed the last one we did together, and I think we got some good stuff to talk about this time, so I'm
Oh,
excited.
I am very excited, and I know you have a book coming out. I haven't read the book yet. I'm waiting for it to come out. But even just the little blurb that you shared, I'm like, oh, that is so good. And even as we were talking about how we approach it, I'm so excited. So what is the name of your book? And then we're going to talk a bit about what's in the revelation that you have.
The title of the book is Divine Partnership with God, and the subtitle is The Art of Co-Creation.
Oh, I'm sorry. That just makes me happy. It just makes me happy. One of the things I love, especially in the subtitle, it's the art of co-creation. One of the things that we were talking about, it's not a science, it's not a formula.
Right.
It's an art. And can you elaborate a little bit what you mean by co-creation and then co-creation as an art?
Okay, the co-creation to me, there's been a lot of discussion about we're God's, um, we're the Christ. And for me, everything happens in life because of the Christ that's in me. And I'm in Christ. So I'm very Christocentric in everything that I do, everything I teach, everything I write. I'm Christ-centered. So I'm not God, I'm not Christ. So the co-creation is he and I working in union together to fulfill the purpose and the plan that he desires in creating what needs to be created. And I've seen this work, so many times in my life. We'll share some today, I'm sure. Yeah. But it's a co-creation. I'm not spinning planets off or creating trees on my own. I'm not God. I'm not source. I'm not first cause. But I am a partaker of the divine nature, and we are in union, one together. And what we do together as one. So and the art of it to me is that it's not a formula. It's not a step 1, 2, 3. I was hesitant in writing the book because I didn't want somebody to say, okay, Don Keathley said if I do A, B, C, that I will get the result. It's a unique art for each of us. That's why it's an art. It's specially designed for each of us by the Father. But I think the end result is the same, and that is that we should live the abundant life. We should do the works of Jesus. We should live a life that is supernatural in so many ways. And I believe the Father is bringing us into that place where we can actually live in 2 dimensions at once, in the spirit and in the natural. And we can create in the spirit that will manifest in the natural.
Wow.
So that's what I meant by the title and the word art. I like the word art.
It's so perfect. And, when God expressed us in his image and likeness, we're not the creator. I love the fact that you said that we're not the creator, we're not the source, but we partner, we're one with. Yes. And I love that. I think we need to have the humility to say, I didn't create myself. Right. And I don't have the same metron as God. But other than that, I'm just as Christ in this world because of our union, because of what God did, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and that was Paul's great mystery, Christ in us. And that Christ in us is actually, the facilitator. He works the work, and we manifest or show the results of what we do together. So I really love working in that area.
Wow. And what's so beautiful about it, there's so many ways, my mind's going about 12 different directions because there's just so much revelation on it. One of the things that I think is so beautiful is it is so relational.
Yes.
This is based out of relationship, not out of formula. So, and we've fallen for this so much in religion, right? That
Oh,
we find something that works, and now we're going to camp. We're going to do that song. We're going to do this
yep.
prophetic
Yep.
action. We're going to camp around, Moses's, step, whatever. We're trying to work it outside of relationship, and that never works. That's just religion. And so it's so beautiful. And because of that, God brings us up to such a high level. It's like, partner with me
Yes.
because of I mean, it is such honor in that,
Yes.
if you want to extrapolate.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Would you like me to tell you how this all started?
I would
Uh,
love for you to tell me how this
okay.
all started.
I I was going in for my annual physical exam.
Mhm.
I'd gone in for years. He's my general practitioner, and you go in for your physical. He looks down your throat, in your ears, as you breathe, takes
Mhm.
an EKG. Every
Yeah.
year it's the same. He comes back in,
Mhm.
everything's good. Go upstairs and get a blood test. This year he came back and he said, your EKG. He said, there's a little irregularity there. He said, it might not be anything, but I'm going to send you to a cardiologist.
Mhm.
So he sent me to a cardiologist, and the cardiologist scheduled me for a nuclear stress test. That's
Okay.
where they shoot the dye through your veins. And he came back and he said, you do have a blockage. It's what
Mhm.
we call the widowmaker.
Mhm. You got the major
Yeah.
coronary arteries. Yeah, go ahead. A
Yeah.
trifecta.
I think it's the blockage of the LAD artery,
Yep.
which is
Which is
the
the
big
main one.
artery.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said, what we need to do, he said, I think we can eliminate this. We'll go in and do an angioplasty, do a stent, blah, blah. When he sent me home, about a day or two later, I began to get this thought that God was telling me, look, you can have a perfect heart.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a heart that works perfectly.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like my charismatic days where I would confess, by his stripes I'm healed, and you know,
Yeah.
all that stuff. I wasn't trying to gin up anything.
Right.
He just spoke to me and said, you
Mm.
can have a good heart. Don't
Wow.
be moved by this.
Wow.
And he said, what I want you to do is to use your imagination to see a perfect heart.
Mm.
He's So I went to the internet. The first thing was I got a thought. I think everything starts with a thought, but not a thought from you. It has to come from the mind of
God
Christ if
thought.
we're going to
Mm-hmm.
co-create.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, I want you to imagine, use your imagination. And I began to understand that our imagination is a connector between the spirit and the natural.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, I want you to use your imagination, and I want you to paint a picture as perfectly as you can of what it is that you actually want.
Wow.
So I went to the internet and I copied a picture of a heart off the internet. I put it up on the wall behind my desk, and I would look at that heart and I would say, that's my heart right there.
Mm.
That heart functions to the perfection that God created it to function, and I forbid any malfunction in that heart. That's a perfect
Mm.
heart. That's my heart.
Mm.
And I'm going through this pretty quick, but this went over a little period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I began, from my imagination, I began to feel like this thing is growing in my heart. I'm beginning to
Wow.
really think that what I'm seeing here
Yeah.
can actually be so.
Manifest. Yeah.
And there was a day I was in my office and I just knew that I knew that I knew that I knew that my heart was okay, that my heart was fine. I hadn't said anything to anybody of what I was doing. I didn't even tell my wife because it seemed so crazy to get a thought, use your imagination. It was in my heart,
Mm-hmm.
and it just crock potted in my heart. It
Love
just
it.
slow cooked in there
So
until the day that I just knew that was it. There was no doubt. And so I went in for the angioplasty,
mm-hmm.
and I'm laying there on the table, and you're actually awake during that
Yeah.
procedure.
Yeah, you are.
And he goes, "Wow," he said, "this thing is in a place." He said, I don't think I can do it. It's risky." And I'm laying there knowing my heart's okay.
Right.
So
Right.
I left the hospital. He said, I'm going to schedule you down at St. Luke's with the guy in town. that's recognized as one of the very best in
Mhm.
hearts, and have him look at this and do it. So I went down to St. Luke's, and he looked at the x-rays, looked at everything. He said, it's in a bad place. He said, I'll give it a shot, but he said, there's a good chance it's going to be some complications to this.
Mm.
So then he called my wife and I into his office. He said, but I want to show you something. And this is after I'd had the thought, the imagination, crock potted. I began to say it out my mouth. He
Mhm.
said, I want to show you something. He said, he showed me the x-ray of my heart.
Mhm.
And he said, you have grown veins around the blockage of your
Oh,
heart. He
perfect.
said, and it's connected back into the LAD.
Mhm.
He said, actually, what you have experienced is a natural bypass.
Bypass. Yes.
And he said, don't, he said, do you work out? I said, yeah, I'm kind of a gym rat. I go 4 days a week. I'm lifting all that stuff. He said, I think through the exercise and everything, he said, you have grown. I
This.
never had a symptom, never had any. I
Mhm.
wouldn't have known if they didn't tell me.
Right.
He said, look at that. He said, that's amazing. He said, that is truly amazing. And that was 7 years ago. And I've never had any problem. I still go back to the cardiologist every 6 months. He takes an EKG. He comes in, looks at me and said,
Mhm.
this is mind blowing. He said, I don't know how to explain it to you. He
It
said,
is.
just come back in 6 months. We'll see you again. And I feel that that was a time that I was introduced to the fact that if I would be sensitive to the voice of God and what he instructed me to do,
Mhm.
that I could co-create with him, because he's the one that grew the arteries around the
Of course you did.
blockage. So I have never asked, I don't feel the blockage is there. I've never asked the cardiologist what my EKG looks like. I
Mhm.
just go in, he says, you're good to go. We'll see you in 6 months. I don't think it's there, but I'm not worried about. That's not a concern of mine. I
Mhm.
just feel like the Father's taking care of it. So
Your
that
heart
was kind
has
of
full
my
perfusion. What's so beautiful about that is that you had this sort of natural blockage, right? That was a
yes,
threat. And
yes,
through this process that you have sort of described, God created a supernatural bypass. Because I'm
he
telling you,
did.
working out and all that, that's all good. And praise God for that. But that didn't create the bypass. And I've studied enough. I mean, I'm an MD, and
Yeah,
I'm not a cardiologist, but you don't see that. That
right.
was a supernatural thing. And I love because it's the process is so relational, and you heeded the thoughts. Like when the thought
Yeah,
came, I'm assuming it was subtle, right?
very
And you
subtle, but I
heeded,
knew that it wasn't a thought from my head.
right?
And as I begin, this has happened several other times, and I can relate them, but I felt like the whole key is having a thought from the mind of Christ
Mm-hmm.
and not just
Well, hello. Have you been feeling disconnected from God's love? Discover how to hear His voice and encounter His heart like you never have before in my brand new Marked by Love book. This transformative book equips you with the tools to deepen your relationship with God and be released in your purpose. Nab your copy now.
the Father began to show me that the whole key is having a thought from the mind of Christ.
Mm.
And it was very subtle. And I knew that it wasn't my thought, because my thought naturally was go back to my charismatic days and confess and possess. But this was far beyond that. This was far beyond that. And that was kind of my introduction to co-creating. Just real quick. The next time it happened, or the Father began to work with me the same way, is when I retired out of the building in 2018. I've been a pastor for 50 years, and it was time I felt like God was leading me to the internet and doing everything I'm doing now. And so we decided we wanted to move out of Houston and come out in the country. So we were looking around and we found an area we liked. And but everything in this area that we liked was way beyond my budget.
Mm-hmm.
And so I felt that thought again. The Father said, look, I'm going to give you a house, but I want you, and it was his thought. I didn't. just create it, say, okay, I'm gonna confess for a new house, which
Right,
I've
right.
done in days
Yeah.
gone by. I've done all that.
Word of faith background. Yes.
Oh
Go ahead.
yeah, you know it. Fake it till you make it. Believe God.
I
Build your
confessed till my
faith.
confessor fell off. Yes, absolutely. So,
So it was the same thing. He said, but I want you to use your imagination
mhm.
and construct the house that you want. How many bedrooms?
Mm.
How big? Um, so I went to work on it. I put one together exactly like I wanted, with the swimming pool, a full home generator, beyond my means. And this went on, and the imagination, it was the same thing. It went into my heart. I crock potted it. And there was a day I told my wife, I said, look, I don't know where it is. We got a house. We got a house. And it was just a little bit of time after that, the real estate lady we were working with called me and said, we had one just come on the market. The people want to sell quick. They want to downsize because they have a deal on another house that they feel is really good. So they've underpriced this house. So we went to the house. It was exactly what I had imagined.
Wow.
This office here where I do my recordings was just what I had imagined. I got the bookshelves, the whole thing.
Love it.
Had the full home generator, the swimming pool, even had a cage over the swimming pool, a screen cage. It met the budget price that we had. So I just looked at the process and I said, Father, this is the same way you brought me through the heart. And, you know, God is very practical. The next time this happened was, I love Corvettes, and I have driven Corvettes, and I
Mhm.
had sold my last one and had bought a Mercedes.
Mhm.
And I didn't like the Mercedes. It was like an old man's car, and it was a nice car, beautiful car.
You worried it wasn't fun enough,
It
right? It
wasn't
wasn't
fun
fun enough,
enough.
wasn't fast enough. Okay.
So Father said, "You want another Corvette?" I said, "Yeah, I really like one." He said, "Okay,
Mm.
well, what kind do you want? What
Mm.
color? Automatic transmission, convertible, chrome wheels, just and again, it just went through the same thing, and it got into my heart. And there was a day that I knew that I knew that I knew, okay, I got a black convertible Corvette. I like older ones, low
Mm.
mileage. I walked into a dealership. I saw a car in a paper. I said, this looks like it. I walked into the dealership. They had this 2005 Corvette, which is pretty old, right?
Mhm.
Had
Mhm.
13,000 miles on it, original
Wow.
miles. And it was sitting on the showroom floor. Beautiful car. He said, that's your car right there.
Wow.
So I picked up on it, and they made a great deal. So I got the car. So this is something that's been working in me for, I guess, about 6, 7 years.
Mm.
And I've gone through this process a bunch. Last year, I felt like the Father told me, from the mind of Christ, not something I wanted. I wasn't even thinking about it. He said, you need another stream of income. He said, what do you think? What would be good? I said, I don't know. So he gave me a figure.
Mm.
He gave me a figure. I had no way to do it. I do what I do. That's all. Long story short, that has materialized, and it's working
Mm.
all well. And I just thank God for it. But the
Wow.
reason I wrote the book was to say, look, I'm no special person. I'm not this, I'm not a big miracle guy. I'm just a guy that listened to what I felt was the mind of Christ. I use my imagination to paint the picture. This is the way he works with me. And then I crock pot it in my heart, and I think about it until the day comes that I know that I know that I know. Then I speak it out my mouth.
Mm.
I don't go back to my charismatic days where I spoke it out my mouth before I actually had any idea, trying to
Trying to
make it
work it up.
happen by my confession. Yeah, that
Yes.
never worked for me. But
Didn't
this
work for me
has,
either.
but this is how the Father has brought me through this, being a co-creator. And, my heart is to get other people to a place where they will begin to listen to the key element, which is the mind of Christ. When the mind of Christ plants a thought in your mind, which you do possess the mind of Christ.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not something you have to try to gain. It's yours.
Mhm. Mhm.
This is all by grace. It's all his gift. It's
All
all
of it.
his working. the acknowledging of the partnership, the
Mhm.
union.
So good.
Um, that is the key. But to start I think if you
Mhm.
using your own thoughts, your own desires,
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
me, forget about it.
Yeah.
But when he puts it in there, it's God that works in you both to will and to do of his good pleasure.
Yes.
So he
Yes.
puts the will in, and he gives the ability to bring the will to fruition. And you
Wow.
just stand back in awe and go, now I expect it. Now when I hear the thought,
Mhm.
I'm expecting it. It's like part of me now.
Yeah. I love those stories because one was a true need, like a physical need.
Yes.
One was I need a house to live in that meets all the requirements. That's a need and
Right.
a want.
Yeah.
The core of it that was just a want, just a
Yep. That
desire. Love it.
exactly.
Makes me happy. And then the income is a need. And so here's God talking to you about your needs and wants, and you having cultivated in your relationship with him the sensitivity. Whoa, that's you, Jesus. That wasn't me.
Yes.
Because the thought, it's subtle. And I think
Yes.
for me and for others, and I know some people, it takes practice. Like, when am I connecting to the mind of Christ? Do you want to share, maybe for someone who say, I have a hard time, like, because it's the subtle. How does a God thought for you differ from a you thought? I help people a lot with this, but I'd love to hear what you have to say about that.
Um, for me, Hebrews 4:12 is a powerful scripture. The word of God is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, dividing asunder soul and spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the word of God is not the Bible that it's speaking there. It's about the
Mm-hmm.
word that he
Right.
speaks to you.
Mm.
So when he speaks to me,
Yeah.
um, as I begin to get into this, I could actually watch my spirit and my soul at battle. Like when he put the thought in my mind, you can have a perfect heart.
Right.
I'm going to show you how to do this. My soul was saying, that's crazy. You got this widowmaker, dude. You're going to have a bypass. This
Yeah.
is going to be a mess.
Mm.
I've never been in the hospital in my life. I've never
Mhm.
stayed overnight in the hospital, never had.
Mhm.
My soul is telling me,
Right.
you're going to be in the hospital. You're going to be in there in intensive care for a week. It's going to be a 6 month recovery. No gym, no digital cathedral, no nothing. But the spirit over here is saying, wait a minute, this is what I told you. I could stand back and watch the battle take
Mhm.
place.
Yeah.
And I think the only development that there is in this is understanding that when he speaks to you,
Mhm.
the soulish part is going to come back to your mind, your will, and your
Yeah.
emotions
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
vie for supremacy.
Mhm.
So for me, hearing the thought from the mind of Christ, it's very subtle, but it's very persistent, and it brings a lot of peace.
Yeah.
It brings joy.
Yeah.
It brings happiness. It's what you
Mhm.
desire.
Right.
Delight yourself in the Lord. He gives you the desires of your heart. I didn't desire to have a bypass. I didn't desire to be in ICU. That was not
Yeah.
my desire, nor was it his desire.
Mhm.
So when I hear thought from the mind of Christ, I look for the peace, I look for the joy, I look for the settledness, I look for that gentle, continual speaking and push that
Mhm.
is in opposition to
The
what the soul is
believing.
trying to
Yeah.
to tell me over here is going to happen, or
That's so
that's not
good.
going to work. That's never going to be.
Exactly.
What makes you think you deserve that? Uh, so for me, I just have learned to kind of sometimes sit back and watch the battle. And as
So you kind of put yourself in third person.
yes,
Here's my spirit. Here's my mind, will, and emotions, and they're battling. Let's see here. And I mean, honestly, that's really adorable. But
that's what
it's beautiful because thank you for sharing that because this is what happens, right? So yeah,
yes,
yeah.
this is this is what the word of God does. The word he speaks to you.
Mm-hmm.
It will separate the two so
Mm-hmm.
that you can make a discernment on which is what.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think that is a huge step in helping you to see what is from the mind of Christ, what's out of your own mind.
exactly.
And that word will definitely separate the two. It, until you really develop, at some point, the spirit becomes powerful over the soul. And
Yeah.
I think mind, will, and emotions are great, but they're
Hmm.
not meant to drive you. They're meant to be in submission to your
Hmm.
spirit. So once I got my mind, my will, and my emotions under the direction of the spirit, then my emotions start getting happy about the new heart,
Really.
start getting happy and joyful and agreeing that the
Hmm.
house would manifest,
Yeah.
that
So
that
good.
Corvette that was just like you said, it was just a
And
gift
what
of
a
God,
desire of
that
your
that
heart.
was mine. So it wasn't fighting anymore.
Right.
The soul, sometimes when you give into the soul, it goes out and it gets defeated, you get
Hmm.
discouraged, it
Hmm.
doesn't work. So at some point the soul comes back with its tail between its legs, and then
Yeah.
it submits to the spirit. And
Yes.
that's the position that it should be in.
That's, I mean, that's beautiful because we don't reject it. A lot of times word of faith,
Right.
you
Yep.
basically you would ignore your feelings. Well, your feelings are diagnostic about where your soul is and all of that.
Yes.
But it's a spirit that leads. And I do find when it's a God thought, there's a weightiness to it. So as you sit with it, it's like, this is weightier
Yeah.
than something coming from my own mind. And it is a subtle thing, but the more you meditate on it and connect with it, you could feel the power of it. And then the fruit of it, right, which is peace, which is joy. Gee whiz, where have we heard that is a fruit of the spirit?
Yes.
What it brings, and you're like, I'm going to choose that. I'm running with this. And that's what you percolate on
Yes.
in your imagination. And
Yes.
oh, that's good stuff. That is good stuff. And I think, and I love the honesty of the journey because I think sometimes people think like if you're teaching this and you're an expert that you never have a battle. No, but I love the way that you took yourself out of the battle and watched it and decided, yeah, I'm going this way. And I
Yes.
mean, that's brilliant because it is part of the process of
Right.
us really grappling on to the things of the spirit. God, what would you have? What's the highest way? How do you want to proceed? Yeah,
Yep.
it's
That
brilliant.
that this the pneumaticos man, the spirit man, and the suke man,
Mhm.
they do battle for supremacy. And I think over a period of time, as you give that spirit man the ascendancy, the soul man learns he's not gonna have his way. He's not
Exactly.
gonna have anything that's soulish, selfishness, pride,
Mhm.
whatever. It's not gonna have its way in your life. It has to
Mhm.
submit to the spirit.
Yeah.
And that just becomes part of your makeup, I think. And it becomes a lot easier, especially when you see the
Mhm.
results.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
proof is in the pudding.
Right.
If you got the new
Thank
heart, you
you.
got the house, the proof's in the pudding.
Right.
So as the Father works with each of us individually in the way that our temperament, our personality is
Mhm.
designed, I think we can come to the same result. It
Yeah.
just might be a little bit different way to get us there.
Yeah.
And that's important because the spirit does not cookie cut anything.
Mm.
He's not a cookie
Mhm.
cutter
Mhm.
spirit. So
Mhm.
we have to allow for him to work with us in a way that makes sense to us and
Yeah.
that we can utilize to get to the end result that the Father wants us to get to.
And that's beautiful, Don, because that means everybody's in. I mean, I'm not just talking in the
Yes.
salvific work, but in terms of operating this way, because people are wired
Yes.
differently. And
Yes.
so, we have different experiences, and God is very, very personal. And so,
Yes.
developing that intimacy so that He speaks in a language in a way that works for us, which is
Yes.
beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
That intimacy is such a key. That is what our prayer life should become. It's just
Mhm.
a walking, talking,
Mm.
daily fellowship with Him.
Good. Yeah.
I mean, I used to be so religiously bound. Every morning I spent 1 hour in prayer. When I was a pastor, I went to the prayer room. It was my first hour.
Mhm.
I would have a cup of coffee, spend an hour in prayer, then I'd go to the gym. And if I missed that hour of prayer, I felt guilty. I felt bad, like, I'm going to have a flat tire today or something's going to go on.
Oh, yeah.
But
No,
as
I
you
love it.
begin to just live a life of intimacy where it's just a running conversation all day long with the Father. He'll tell you which route to drive. He'll tell you what to buy, what to do, what not to do. And it just comes from that closeness. And that's the beauty of the life that we live now, that is by grace, by unconditional love, by inclusion. It's no religiosity involved with it, no hoop jumping, no have tos. It's just a beautiful relationship. Baxter calls it perichoresis.
Absolutely.
It's you know that you're in him and he's in you, and you got a circle dance going together, and it just gets better and better.
It does, and we're all growing in it. Like we're all
Yes.
growing, and I just think wherever we're at, to start where you're at, because God meets us where we're at in our development, in our intimacy. Because I hear from a lot of people, what I don't hear him like that, or what. We'll just focus on the ways that you have connected. If you take the little bit in terms of experiential reality of how you have connected with God, that will grow, and that will flower as you're consistently cultivating this relationship. He's always there, but we're sometimes dense.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he helps us with our denseness, which is glorious. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I love
it's
that.
it's learning to consciously be aware of his presence,
Mhm,
because his
mhm.
presence is always there. He's omnipresent. He's got to be there always.
Of
And
course.
I was laid in bed the other morning about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was kind of feeling like, man, I don't feel very close to God. And you know, what have I done? What's going on? It Lord just spoke to me. He said, "Hey, I haven't moved. I'm still right here. You're just not consciously aware of my
Mhm.
presence.
Yeah.
So how about if we just talk about this a little bit?"
I love it. That's
So
adorable.
I talked to the Father just like we're talking on the
Mhm.
podcast,
It's so
and and it just begins to flood back in, and everything
course
gets
it
back in shape again. So there are those times that you sense he's
does.
not close, but that
Mhm,
has nothing to do with it.
mhm.
It's
Yeah.
it's the realization, the perception, and the consciousness that he actually is there. And when you hit that, then the door just opens up, and you know
It
that you know.
it does, and we don't have to panic because I don't have a zingy thing right
Isn't
now.
that
I'm
the
not
truth? Yep.
feeling it. Well, it's and talk to him about you not feeling it or whatever that that's just a human type of experience. But don't let it move you. Just start talking to the Father anyway,
Exactly.
and he'll help you kind of get back. Oh yeah, there you are. Okay, you
There you are.
were
Yep.
here the whole time. Yeah. Yeah,
And
and it's
coming
peace
back to
and invigorating.
creating, I think that's
Mhm.
important in the creating process to
Yeah.
know that he's really for you, and he is speaking to you about
Mhm.
what he wants to do, whether it's a heart or car, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of getting on the frequency that he's
Yeah.
speaking on,
Yeah. Yeah.
and letting him speak. And that's, we call that the mind of Christ. But I think you can live out of the mind of Christ 24/7, to be honest with you.
Exactly.
I'm
Well,
not there for sure, but I think
yeah.
that's where we're headed.
We're growing in it. We're growing in
Yes.
it. And I love that. Jesus, help me get on your frequency. Help me think with your mind. The helper's all you're one with the helper. And so
Yep.
the helper's there to help us get there. And in all these areas of need and desire. And I love the fact, what was really wonderful about this story is like God already had an idea. Yeah, you need more provision, Don. So what do
Yes.
you think? What a relationship. We're going back. What do I think? What do I think?
Right.
how,
Right.
how do we do this? And we're going back and forth, but he's even going ahead. So in all these needs, life, I mean, serious health need, um, you know,
Yes.
big provisional. We need a home. We need a place to record. We need a pool. We need a generator.
Yeah.
And we want these things at the
Yeah.
price that works, and the car, I just love it, and I want the one that I want.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
low mileage and all of that. I mean, that's a miracle. I mean, it's beautiful, and God is so gracious in that, and then helping you incubate it, helping
Yes.
you percolate it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's that. There. I mean, all those things are key to me. From the mind of Christ, the thought comes. then he has you. This is the creation right here, the imagination.
Mm-hmm.
That's the womb of creation right there, is your
Mm-hmm.
imagination. And he specifically said, you better paint it exactly like you want it. Put every detail into the picture. It's got to be, come to the realization of what it is. And then out of that, when I saw the picture, then it began to percolate, began to crock pot. It was like a seed going into the ground. It just started to grow. And
Mm-hmm.
at some point, I knew that it was the full corn in the ear. It
Yeah.
was it was done. It's history. It's
And
mine. It belongs to me.
it's so scriptural, and it also is a process that you're
Yes.
engaging with, because the right seed needs to go. And I love the fact that he was you need to be very specific about the seed because it's going to bear fruit. So make sure it's the color you want, and whatever,
Yeah.
the everything that is the desire of your heart, because actually this really works, and it will work in you because you have a spiritual womb, you have your imagination to
The
birth it.
the thing
Yeah.
the thing you really can't control is when it's going to manifest or
Mm-hmm.
how.
Mm-hmm.
And he's never told me to tell him how to it's up to him to bring it to pass. I think in quantum physics, I was talking to Steve McVeigh about
Yeah,
this,
he's so
and
good at
Steve
that.
McVeigh says in quantum physics, you call that popping the quiff.
Oh,
In
right.
other
Oh my
words,
God. That's the most
there's
adorable.
a
Yes.
there's a
Popping the quiz.
myriad of possibilities.
Yeah.
There's a myriad of possibilities that could happen, and it's up to him to pop the quiff. It's up to him to say this is the channel, this is the means, this is the way. But you
Mm-hmm.
have to be open to a multiplicity of possibilities,
Mm-hmm.
and that's to me is amazing that he has unspeakable ways to make whatever happen if I just leave it up to him. He's given me the thought. I've painted the picture, incubated it. It's ready to be born. Now you bring the baby forth, and he can bring it however he wants to bring it. That's the exciting part, to
It is so
watch and see
exciting.
how he does it.
No kidding. And I honestly, I just sense God's delight in this process, because
Yes.
co-creating with his sons and daughters is such a delight. But how much he gives us the honor of being part of that process, and his delight. And it's delightful to see. Okay, God, how are you going to pull this one off? This is going to be really fun to see. And then
Yes.
his delight in it as
Yes.
well. I just feel like, yes, this is where it gets really fun. Who
Yes.
who would have thunk from the days of religion, when we're just trying to work it and work our faith
Oh.
and confess.
Oh.
I mean, I spent 2 hours a day confessing, and it was great until it wasn't of God anymore, and then it was like chewing gravel, right?
It
And
it is it is the most works
oh,
oriented thing that you can do.
mhm,
And
yeah,
I mean, I used to have a list of scriptures that when I
mhm,
would drive to the church, I would confess them.
mhm,
I am the body of Christ.
right.
Satan has no power over me. I overcome evil with good. I used, and you might remember, you might know this. I used Charles Capp's Gospels. He
Yes.
called them gospels. And I had that little book, Creative Power,
Yeah.
from Charles Capps. I had it on the back 2 pages, which was all the scriptures. And I could drive my car and just look at one and know the rest of it, because I'd done it every day. Every day I was building my faith. I was getting strong
Yeah.
because I needed to manifest. And,
Yeah.
faith comes by hearing, hearing by the word of God. So you gotta stay at it. The problem is it never worked.
Right.
It
Right.
never worked, and it was exhaustive. And
Mhm.
it was totally me working to try to twist God's arm to do
Exactly.
something for me.
Mhm.
And when grace comes along and just eliminates all that, takes the pressure off, takes the heat
Yes.
off, then he can actually go to work. And that's when you begin to co-partner. My word of faith days, I was not co-partnering. I was
Yeah.
twisting arms. I was trying to get my way. I
Exactly.
knew what I wanted. I knew what was
Mhm.
best. And God, you got to give it to me.
Right.
Doesn't work like
Exactly.
that. It's a
It's well,
co-part. It's co-partnering. It's
exactly. Well, because that's
co-creation.
trying to operate out of relationship. Grace says we're
Yes.
starting from our union, from
Yes.
relationship, and partnering together. Even, what is it that the dream that you want to come to pass? What is the, what is it? And either it's a desire of your heart that but God is placing it in your mind, or God say could looks in ahead. It's like, yeah, this need, you're going to need this. Let me pop this
Yes.
in your mind. And so this is starting from union, which in and of itself has the grace, the anointing, the glory, whatever you want to call it, to bring itself to pass, rather than
Yes.
trying to work a system or trying to manipulate God, into granting your wish,
And
your
that's what
want.
I did. And that's what I do not want the book to do. I don't
No.
want the book to give any illusion that if you do what I did, that result will be for you. What I hope comes out of the book is that you can do this. God desires you to co-create with him, and he's going to show you how you uniquely, through your union with him, can listen to what he says and see it come to pass in your life as well. I don't I don't think we have to beg and plead and bawl and squall for
I
God
know.
to do stuff. I think he desires to give us what we need more than we actually desire it ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think he delights. I think he delights every time I put the top down on my Corvette and have fun driving it. I think he delights in that.
He's
I delight in
reveling
giving
right
my
along with you.
I delight in giving my natural kids gifts, and I get a big
Exactly.
kick out of when they utilize them.
Exactly.
And I think that's the way the Father looks at us. So
He does. I mean, we're never more happy than when our kids are fully alive and reveling in
yes,
whatever it is. I mean, I don't know. Are they more happy? Am I more happy? Does it's all happy? It's all good. And we revel in that. And how much more, a Father who does nothing but good gifts. Cheer up, little
yes,
flock. It's my good pleasure to give you the
yes,
kingdom, everything in it, everything in it.
yes.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Peter
Wow.
said he's given to us everything that pertains to life and godliness. And the things that I've talked about today pertain to life.
Mm. Mhm.
You know, the
Mhm.
godliness things comes through his grace.
Mhm.
We fully possess. I believe that everything that every person will ever need has already been created. I think in those 6 days, the totality of creation was done.
Mhm.
God
Mhm.
rested the seventh day, and he's
Yeah,
never worked since. So my house was already created. My heart
absolutely.
was already created.
Mhm.
Now it
Your
was a matter of
Corvette
me
was already created. Yeah.
going into the warehouse and laying hold of what was already there that he desires to give to us. So it's just learning how he wants to deliver it to us individually.
Yeah.
It's an
How he wants to
amazing
pop
life,
that
really.
quiff.
It's an amazing life.
What an adventure. And,
Yes,
imagine as we are growing in our ability to, to be sensitive to God as he's putting these thoughts in our minds, and just be sensitive and quick to respond, person after person after person, as an adult son and daughter, how that can literally transform creation, like how it can literally transform everything, right? Because we're
right.
operating according to God's mind and his heart and his expression. So,
Jesus, I think, was trying to break this into the disciples. You remember when Jesus fed the multitude, 5 loaves and 2 fish?
mhm,
He told the disciples, he said, look, here's 5 loaves and 2 fish. Go feed the people. He
mhm.
said, actually, before that, he said, we need to feed the people. And they said, we can't do that. Jesus was giving them an opportunity to co-create with him.
Yeah.
But they came out of the soulish, their mind, their will, and emotions had
Mhm,
preeminence and said, can't do it. It
mhm,
would take
mhm.
hundreds of dollars for us to
Right,
give everybody just a little bit.
right.
So then Jesus said, okay, then I'll do it. But I
Mhm.
think even then he was beginning to open a door to them to say, look, we can do this thing together if you'd like to. I'll tell you how to do it. I'll tell you what to do, and you just fulfill it.
But
But
I mean, they distributed, right? So they actually
yep,
cooperated, even kind of despite themselves. So God had something to work with then.
yeah, that's
Isn't that,
true. I had thought
isn't
about that.
right?
They actually co-created with him, even though they were not really knowing what they were doing. Yeah, that's good.
Exactly. I mean, at least if you put it in neutral, right? Okay, so
Yes.
Jesus, I'll let
Oh,
you do it, and then I'll put me in neutral. Just whatever you say, we'll do that. And that is
that's
a
it.
co-creation. So and sometimes if that's where we're starting, then let's start there, right?
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Right. And, and interesting, I mean, much of what kind of the unbelief that they ran into because they forgot that lesson of the lows that you've already forgotten,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we tend to forget. So, happily, we have Holy Spirit with us to constantly remind us and help us in that so we can do this thing. There's an invitation that we can do this that is so powerful and so exciting. Wow. Whew. Awesome. Now, have you had any feedback from people who have been able to read the manuscript yet? Have they been practicing some of this, or
I,
have you?
I it's still, I don't think anybody's really read the manuscript. Robin's been working on it,
Yeah,
and
we love Robin.
um, yeah, and she's got it at the proofreader right now, but we haven't distributed the manuscript to anybody, so
Oh,
I
okay.
haven't really got any feedback yet. So I guess we'll find out in February when the book comes out.
Yeah. So it's coming out when? Do we know?
February 18th,
Okay. And it'll
which
be
is
where?
just a couple of weeks away. I'll be on
Exactly.
Amazon on February 18th.
Yeah. Think about this, Don. This is another thing of the book itself is something co-creating out of
Yes.
the right. This is a co-creation process to help people co-create.
That's real good.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Right. I mean,
Yes.
that is really, I mean, pretty much everything we do can be that.
When I when I when I look back, everything that I've done as an adult has been, I started with nothing. I didn't when I started the church in Houston in 1983, I had no people, had no support. It was just, and looking back, it was something God put in my heart to do. And actually, looking back, we co-created a church that I pastored for in Houston 40 years. And he added, as we went along, we just started a hotel room. Then he added, we eventually bought a large building. We started a school. We had a large food bank, a social ministry. I mean, he just put the whole thing together. So in looking back, when I started Global Grace Seminary, it was the same thing. It just came from a thought that I looked around and I said, here's this huge grace movement going on, and there's no school. And he had given me the thought. I'm not a theologian. I'm not an educator. The things he's asked me to do, I really haven't had the background to do. It's just getting it and then letting my imagination create it. It was happening even when I didn't realize it.
Isn't that
With
beautiful?
the Grace Awakening Network, I'm sitting in my chair one day, and I feel like the Father said, "Hey, you know what? There's no television network for this message. People all over the world are coming into this, but there's nothing to help." He so then he told me explore Roku. I didn't know anything about Roku. I called Robin Smith's husband, who's a businessman. I said, "Hey, Steve, investigate Roku. See what the." So he comes back and he says, "Yeah, it's doable, but we don't know how to do it." And then I remembered I had met Lane, and he had his own production company, television production company. I
Just
called
said
Lane. I
that.
said, "Hey, Lane, he's a Grace guy, super guy." I said, "Lane, I'd like to do a Roku network with 24/7 Grace." He said, "I can do the back end. I can put the whole Roku thing together." So those things God just brought together. But in looking, I didn't even realize it with GAN. I'm just sitting here not even realizing it, but it did come as a thought. I built it in my imagination. It crackpotted until I began to put the pieces together the way that the Father said to do it. And everything I've ever done has come pretty much the same way, but it's only been the last 7 years that I've really realized what the Father's doing in my life, my entire adulthood.
That's
It's just been
beautiful.
the way that he's worked. But now that I'm realizing it, I feel free that I can start to utilize it if I get thought from the mind of Christ.
Yeah, you get more intentional. You're like very, oh wait,
Yes.
God thought what pot? Everybody stop. What's what is that? Right, and that's beautiful. Now, why don't you share a little bit about, because I know the Grace Awakening Network GAN is expanding. So if you want to
Yes.
share a little bit on that, because we're both so excited
Yeah.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You're one of the team members on GAN.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah. We started, it'll be 1 year ago in March.
Mhm.
And what we just began on Roku because that seemed to be the largest streaming platform. I can't remember. I think there's like 82 million people that have Roku.
Right.
But when we're on Roku, I felt like we need to expand the platform. So the next place we went was Amazon Fire.
Mhm.
So now we're on Amazon Fire. Then we developed the platform for Android and Google Television.
Right.
And by the end of the month, we'll be on Apple Plus. So we've got 4 or 5 large platforms that, pretty well reach around the world to millions of people. So I think right now we're in the process of letting the network be known to people because I mean we started at ground level zero like always I do. No money, no viewers, no nothing, no hosts.
Uh,
it just it
just a
just
thought.
just a thought
Yeah.
and went to work on it, but it is a growing I think it meets a huge need.
Yeah.
uh, People are coming
24/7.
into an understanding of the things we're
Mhm.
talking about, the grace of
Yeah.
God, the unconditional love, inclusion, mercy that endures forever. And there's no place to go. They're not going to get it on any other Christian network. It's going to be at
Mhm.
best a mixture message of law and
Mhm.
grace.
Mhm.
So I feel like this fills a huge need that as time goes along and wave after wave after wave of people begin to come into this understanding that it's going to be a voice that can help change the culture. And so
Beautiful.
the hosts that are on now are all they're partners. We're in this thing together. They're
Yeah.
tremendous. Your program is outstanding. I would
Thank you.
encourage anybody to come to Roku,
Yeah.
Amazon Fire, Android, Google, Apple TV.
Right.
Watch Dr. Toon. She has a great program, and I guess we're going to be on your program here with what we're
Of course
doing.
we will.
Yeah.
Of
So
course we will.
it's the
Uh,
GAN is a work in progress,
It is.
and I've got some vision beyond those platforms. I really feel like one day we will have a satellite like TBN or Daystar. So I'm starting to look at what we have to do to get a satellite that takes it to another whole dimension. Then we can get on Xfinity and some of the other larger networks. So I think it's exciting. It's fun. And I've watched God put a team of people together. We have about 100 programs right now
Mm.
on the network, and we can, we got space for some more. So if
Yes.
anybody's watching that is a podcaster or a
Mhm.
teacher, pastor, whatever, we'd love to have you.
And
If
it's
you're full
it's
grace,
outstandingly reasonable to be
yes,
on. Like before
yeah.
on the other thing, it's just prohibitive
Yeah, I
for,
was on a major network in the 90s for 4 or 5 years, and
yeah,
I spent about $3,500 a month
right.
uh,
Easily. Yeah.
for a
Yeah.
half an hour program, and there was no on demand, or you had your
Right.
half hour, and that was it.
Right. Right.
And then I've been on radio. This is back in the 80s when I first came into Word of Faith. I was on a radio, man, and I had my 15-minute program every day, and it was more expensive than what being on the Grace Awakening Network is
Yeah.
for those of us that are on the network. So
Right.
yeah, it is extremely affordable, and
Yeah.
so I think if people want to do it, they should be able maybe to do it. If not, we'll
Well,
help them out some way. Anyway,
there's a way. Let it percolate. Let it percolate. It's a God idea.
yes, that's it. If
Good
God
stuff.
gives you the thought
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
paint your imagine what kind of program, what are you going to have?
Yeah.
What's it going to look like? And then just let that thing crock pot in your heart
Yeah.
till you know that you're supposed to do it.
Yeah. Well,
And
it's
God will make a
interesting.
way for you.
Yeah, because it's interesting for the Grace Awakening Network when we first started it. This was actually a response to something the Lord had spoken to me. Man, when I was a baby,
Wow.
baby Christian. And I kind of hit it in my heart, but I just knew it was how was this going to come to pass? And boom. So what percolated in you, God had percolating in me, and then so many others. It's not just me,
Yeah.
but just, that was a total, wow. It took a while. We got there though. We popped the quiff. God popped the
Yes.
quiff.
Yes. And never discount, if God gives you an idea, never discount the idea that he's speaking to other people that will do what you can't do to make that dream come to pass. What I'm finding is the older I get, the bigger my dreams are.
It's
You know, the scripture says your young men will see vision, your old men will dream dreams.
come
I'm
on.
dreaming, man. My dreams
It's
are big. They're getting bigger. Like, I just mentioned a satellite. I've never told that to anybody. So
wow.
anyway, that's what
Let
I've
that
got a dream
percolate.
for that. I got a dream for it. So I'm percolating it. I'm
Mm,
crock potting it, and the
mhm.
Father will bring it to pass in the right time. So if you got a dream, go for it. The Father wants you to dream big. And if he puts the dream in your heart, as I said earlier, he's the one that puts the vision and the ability to complete it within us. It's God that works in you both to will and to do of his good pleasure. I like that verse because it takes all the pressure off me.
Oh, verse has ministered to me, especially the
Oh,
Amplified Classic, because it goes in it amplifies
yes.
everything. It's like, oh, this is just taking, the more I look, it's just taking off more and more pressure off of
Oh,
me. Right. It's just, thank you. Grace, 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 grace. It's all grace.
because
Because
I
he
can
loves us so
tell
much.
in visiting with you that you're like me. You're a natural doer.
Yeah. Oh,
I,
yeah.
if I, you know, if I used to see a problem, I would get in there, work a solution. I'd figure it out. I'd get it done. That's part of being a pastor.
Yeah.
But, I was a doer. I was a charger.
Oh,
I could make
absolutely.
it happen. I could bring it to pass. Bless God. Texas, we pull ourselves up by the bootstraps. This is going to
Mhm.
happen. We're going to see it through.
Yeah.
And this takes all that off. And it's so
Yeah.
much easier, so much more of a joy to live.
Exactly. We're not grinding. We're not
Oh,
grinding. We're not pushing. And I seriously, the Lord sat me down to learn this issue of operating from rest and letting him do the work. We partner, but he's the one that does the heavy lifting.
yes.
And
Yep.
it's just, every time I sense that wanting to come back on, I'm like, oh, nope, 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 not touching it until we get back in the right place.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. Well, let me share. I want to share your cover, and while I do that, you can let us know again. Let me make sure that I'm doing this right. Okay. Let me know. Let's see. Where are you here?
They
Uh,
just put the cover over to you. So,
oh
um,
yes,
if you can't
yes.
show it, that's
No,
okay.
no, no. I got it. I got
No
it. It's
problem. You got it. There it is.
just an issue of working the technology there. That's beautiful. I love that. So
Yeah.
that, yeah, that's that. Now, and that was done through Robin Smith's The Writers Society. So we do a little
Yes.
promo. She's
Yep.
amazing, and I've been a part of
She's the
that. She's
lady.
been great. Yeah.
Actually, Robin will tell you. I put the seed in her to do this publishing company.
Well,
Um,
okay. So
I
good.
I had written a book called Hell's Illusion that somebody else had
Good
done,
book.
and they went back into religion. It's a long story, but Robin picked it up, and she did such a good job of rewriting it. I said, Robin, there is nobody that is publishing grace books for grace authors, for
So
finished
good.
work authors.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, she put the word out there. I talked to Malcolm Smith, and he was unhappy with his publisher. And I talked to Steve McVeigh, a few other people. So we began to do our books with Robin, and she does a bang up job
She
from
does
the start
amazing.
to the finish. And I
Mm-hmm.
think she has about 40 authors right now that she's I know that she's booked through 2025.
I
So
know.
any books that you do is going to have to be next year. But
2026. That's great.
I she came through Global Grace Seminary. She went through the bachelor program, master program, the doctor's program, and she always wrote such good papers in the seminary.
Yeah.
And I said, Robin, you need to think about doing a publishing
Mhm.
company, and she's done it, and she's put it
Wow.
together,
Mm.
and it's been fantastic.
It
So there it
has
is,
been.
divine
There you go.
partnership with God, the art
Absolutely.
of co-creating.
Hey, yay. So where can people find it when it does come out?
They'll be able to get it on Amazon. If you just go to Amazon and type my name into books, I think this is book number 10. You'll see all of them over there. And this will be the latest one. And I hope this really helps people in their journey and alleviates any frustration that they've had of not manifesting the
Yeah.
things that they feel like God would have them manifest.
Yeah. And I really believe when you said that, because I love the heart. That's the pastoral heart, that alleviating the frustration of things that haven't manifested. And I really felt like when you said that, I felt like the Lord, I felt kind of this wind, this zing on this issue of pick up that old dream and let's repartner together. Because I feel
Yes.
like people have gotten maybe weary in well doing. They've let go of some things. And I feel
Yes.
like one of the things that God is really, really moving, He's wanting people to dust off the old dreams that haven't come to pass because He meant them. He hasn't forgotten a single dream. And so I feel like we
Exactly.
can dust them off, and reapproach it from this fresh way, in that using these principles of in that
Yes.
relationship that looks like you and Him, and He
Yep.
gets to lead it and you get to follow, and it works. Yeah, wow, that's wonderful.
Yes.
Oh my
She
goodness,
designed my cover. She did a great job.
didn't you? I love that cover. I love everything about that cover. So I love this has been a plug for Robin. It's been a plug for Gan. It's been a plug for Global Grace. It's been a
Yeah.
plug for Jesus, and it's been a plug for us, as well as the book, because we get to partner in this, and this is wonderful. Wow. Well, it's been a joy. I can't believe the time went by so fast,
I
but
know
thank
it
you. Thank
did.
you. Yeah, I'm really excited. And I'm grateful, Don. I am grateful for how you've impacted my life, to be a part of what you've been doing on so many different arms of things. And it's just a joy. And I'm just really grateful. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Catherine. You're an intricate part of what God is doing today. And when I learned that you had been a medical doctor, it blew my mind that the Father has directed you into doing what you're doing today. And
Yeah,
I don't know the story, but I'm sure that took some sacrifice and some adjustments
you
and shifting
did.
in your life to be where you're at today. But your
I
program
love
is
it.
beautiful and your heart is
Thank
so
you.
good. And
Thank
I
you.
just loved spending time with you. It's been
Yeah,
good.
yeah, it's been so good. Thank you so much. Well, everyone, like, share, do all the things. Make sure you get the book. If you're not listening to the Grace Awakening Network, you have a multitude of places to go to do that. If you're interested in maybe doing a program, where should I tell them to go to discuss maybe doing a program on the Grace Awakening Network
Oh,
if there's someone out there?
if you'll just go to the website,
Mhm.
it's GANTV.com, GANTV.com.
I'll
And
have it
there's a
in place.
little thing you can push that will have a form that you can fill out, and it will mail it in, and we'll get in contact with you right away.
Wonderful.
Or if you're on social media, just message me. Just
Yeah,
message me, and I'll reach out and we'll contact and make it happen.
wonderful. Wonderful. Lots and lots of different possibilities, and I can't wait to get the book. That'll be amazing. So thank you, Don. I so
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. All right. All right, everybody. Like, share, do all the things, and have a wonderful day. Thank you, Don. Bye-bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
God bless.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Perspectives with Catherine Toon. For additional information and resources, please visit catherinetoon.com.